Welcome to the 30-Year-Old Virgin podcast, where we discuss all things sex, love, and relationships. I am your host and your favorite late bloomer, Allison Cadena. And on today's episode, we are doing part 2 of Guys Talk, where we have two lovely gentlemen come and give their opinions on just some questions that the females of the community have submitted. On the first episode, we were talking more about just like dating, meeting people, the apps and stuff like that. But this time, we're going to get a little more serious, and we are talking about relationships. And so, first of all, let me have a big welcome for our guests, Jamie and Erle.
Yo.
Thank you.
Good to be back.
So you might recognize Jamie, aka Jay Stellar, from our previous episode. If you haven't, then why are you not keeping up?
Facts, big facts.
But so Jamie is a personal trainer, DJ, and producer, and also the bane of my existence at the gym because he won't just let me be fat in peace. And then
It's motivation.
Yeah, sure. This is just my brand, but and then we have a new guest on our guys panel. So we have the lovely Erle here to give his opinions.
Yes.
Erle is a high school educator and athletic coach here in New York City. And we met through a mutual friend who we bully about his dating choices. So I'm sure he's going to have a lot to contribute to this conversation. And
Definitely.
I'm sure our friend is glad that he's not going to be the only one hearing our nonsense. So first of all, we're talking about relationships, like long-term, more serious stuff. I want to get an idea of like where you guys are coming from. Have you been in serious relationships? What's the longest? How long ago was it? Let's start with you, Jamie.
So I'm currently single. I've been single for a while now. Just, enjoying my 20s, I guess you can say, right? My longest relationship was probably like a year and a half, I want to say. And that was a while back. I was definitely before the pandemic. So I'm just going with the flow right now, I'm not fighting things, just letting things come. If the one who's going to be there for me will be there for me. So just waiting for that moment. We'll see.
Now, I know this answer, but so the other people know, do you consider yourself like a relationship guy?
Not really. When it comes to relationship, it's a little more complex for me in terms of like girlfriend or not girlfriend, right? Like I mentioned in the other podcast, most people don't show their true colors right away, right? You always see the good things at first, and then you start seeing some of the flaws later on. Not really flaws, it's just like nobody's perfect, right? People have the good things and the bad things. You just gotta see which one outweighs the other one if you guys have good compatibility. So for me, it's hard for me to just, once I start dating someone, like the third day, it's hard for me to go into a relationship right away, call them a girlfriend or a partner. So I just like to go with the flow, and then from there, if we start clicking, right, and the energy's there, and then from there, I guess we can go into the next step. But I still wouldn't consider like that labeling of a girlfriend or a partner is just, I think it makes things complicated sometimes. So I like to go with the flow of things.
All right, cool. And then we have Erle. Erle, tell us about longest relationship.
Yeah.
Are you a relationship guy?
Longest relationship would be 5 years. That ended in 2014. Since then, I've been somewhat of a serial dater, on and off 2-year relationships. Definitely a relationship guy. I love. Listening to you speak, I understand the concept of how labels change things and you see the good up front. But no, family is huge to me. Like I want to date, I want to find a life partner, and I kind of want to get that next step going.
Cool. So I'm excited to see like the juxtaposition of what you guys
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a good one, guys. Stay tuned.
Yes.
Subscribe.
I'm going to actually skip ahead on one of, no, I'm not. I'm going to go on.
You got to warm up to the good questions. Come on.
No, because you brought up something, but I was like, no, let's
write it
build
down.
up
Take a
to
note.
there.
Don't worry about it.
We'll
come back to it.
Okay. So before we get into like the serious part of relationships, we talked about dating and like meeting people and stuff. Now, women are told on our side that when you're dating people, you're supposed to look for certain like green flags, or like there's certain kind of rules to it of like, oh, he should pay for the first date, or he should pick you up and drop you off. Are there like, what are your feelings about those kind of like dating etiquette things of like what leads to like more serious relationships? Do you subscribe to that of like, yeah, if I'm serious about a person, I act X, Y, or Z, or?
I think it's, in a sense, yeah. You do want to have a good first impression, right? So if you really like someone, if you really want to impress them, you should treat them right. You should like, have some chivalry and like open the door for you and things like that. The bad side about that is that most girls, when they're introduced to that, they want you to keep going with that. So there has to be a balance. You can't go too much. You can't try too hard either, but you should leave a good impression on that. And so, in my opinion, on first dates, especially if you bring it up or if you're the one asking her out, I think you should pay for the first date, the guy, unless she offers. Even then, you might be like, no, you don't have anything, you get the next one or something like that. But the first date, I usually will pay. Sometimes the second date, two or the third. Most of the time, the second. Third is when, okay, like, we're not that serious. I think she's cool. Like, okay, we'll be more friends type of thing. Like, I invite this time, you got me the next time. But it's like a give and go situation. But yeah, so I think first impressions are a big thing. So you should definitely like be on your best behavior.
And Earl, what do you think?
First impressions are huge.
Yes.
I think as men, we're taught to provide safety, security, and support. So
For sure.
I always pay for the first date, kind of pay for every date because I'm investing my time in you, and that is the money that I'm spending. It actually takes me by surprise. My partner's like, "No, let me pay for this one." I'm just like, well, "This is not what you do." So I understand the concept of not wanting to pay every time, having there be balance, but I'm big on consistency. If I'm going to pay for the first one, I'm going to pay for all of them because I want you to look to me to provide those things. Now, granted, a dinner is not that crazy, but there's other measures of monetary contributions in dating. So yeah, I'll pay for dinner, but you're probably going to help me out and get dessert on the back end.
Okay, yeah. So like mentioned before, it's like it's not only me. Like I want you to do a little something too, but I can do most of it as well. But I think first dates for sure, the guy has to pay unless the girl asks the guy out, right? Because I never had this situation
That is
before
the
in a way.
key.
But if they do, even then, I think it's a nice gesture to just go half and half at least. Be like, you know what? No, I got your drink, or just pay for the first date. She'll definitely be impressed a little bit with that. So she'll be like, okay, like he has etiquette. He was raised by a good mom,
Yeah.
And to kind of build off that, ladies, if you ask a man out on a date, think that you're going to pay. And it's not because you should pay, but as a man, it would impress me if I get asked out on a date and then she then pays. I'm like, oh, she's serious, because women don't play around. Like if they're wasting their time, she's not going to ask you on a date. Like if she shows her interest and she generally wants to be with you, you'll see it. As a man, when you see that intent, you act, in regards to that. So if you ask him out, pay for the date. But if he asks you out, he should pay.
I agree. It's like, again, it's good impression.
Now, how
On
do you
both sides.
feel that works though with like dating apps? Because it's I'm gonna give my opinion so that you guys can chew me out if I'm wrong. That's usually what happens when I give this opinion. I actually don't care if the man pays for the whole date. Like, I mean, not that I expect to like necessarily pay for both of us, but I go in expecting like I'll probably pay my half. And for me, I see it as like I want you guys, like I would want the guy to know how I am with money in general. Like in my family, if we go to dinner, it's like 10 people fighting over the check because like, no, I got it. No, I got it. You got it last time. And I have this every time I'm with my family. And so I know that that's going to be something that comes up a lot where I feel like I want to pay, you know? So to me, it doesn't matter as much. And especially with dating apps where I feel like I don't know you, you don't know me. I feel like we're coming from an even playing field of like, let's just test the chemistry. Where if we had met in real life in a bar, we kind of know if we have chemistry or not. And then if we want to see each other, and then that's why you might ask me out, right? And pay for it. But if we're on a dating app, like I don't know you. I don't know if we have the same humor. I don't know if I'm like even really that interested, and neither do you. So I wouldn't really care if you pay for it. I feel like we're coming from like, all right, we're both gonna take this investment, and then from here, if you want to ask me out, we'll see what happens. So what is your take on that? Am I wrong? You can tell me.
I don't want to say you're wrong. I'll say I think there's a process on dating apps before you go out on that date where there's some general interest, like, oh, let's see what this guy's like. And I think if you're the woman and you like the date and you want to have another one, pay for it and show that intent. And you shouldn't be upset because you're just communicating. That's just how you chose to communicate that. Now, it shouldn't become a habit, but I don't think there's a right or wrong in paying for a meal because eventually it's all going to balance out in the end.
Yeah, I don't think it's a right or wrong. It's just individuals' perspective on dating, right? For me, like I mentioned, like I usually pay on the first day. So dating or not, I am paying for the first date. And like Earl mentioned before, it is an investment. So I'm investing to see if our date goes well or not. And I think, especially on dating app, it adds to your chances of, the dating app.
Yeah. Now I have so this is one of those like I feel like for some people that's like a red flag. Oh, like, oh, he didn't pay for the date. Or I saw on TikTok somebody was saying that, oh, he didn't have a suggestion. He was asking what I wanted to do. And I'm like, yeah, friend, because he don't know you. Like, why you don't know what you're interested in. But are there red and green flags for you guys when it comes to like people you would consider serious? Like as you're dating a person, these are red or green flags of like, yeah, I'm gonna pursue like a relationship with you, or like, nah, probably not.
I don't think as men we're taught to look at red and green flags. Every opportunity is an opportunity. If we see something we don't like, we'll probably bring it up. If we bring it up and it doesn't get addressed, then that's a red flag. But it's hard to get all those flags on the first date. I would say we'll just be aware and bring it up. I think the biggest thing is communication. If I see something I don't like and I bring it up to you and it doesn't change, well, then that's who you are. And if I don't vibe with that, then I can't keep going.
Yeah, definitely being aware. As far as red flags, it might not be exactly if it's a red flag on the first date, then it has to be something really big, like you really messed up, and it's like whoa. Because when you're on the first date, you're just getting to know the person, so maybe they could have had a bad day, something going on. But that's why with the next dates, if it happens consistently, then I'm like, okay, there's this I don't really like this, or this throws me off, or I've seen that pattern before and I don't want to get there again. And communication is key, but sometimes like on the first few dates it just feels weird for me to tell a stranger how I think, not how they should act, but for me sometimes it's better off to just be, you know what, I don't think we connect, instead of me communicating them depending on the red flags. And then other times I have communicated a little bit, but again, I don't really know the person, so I don't think it's in my place to let them know what I think about them, or like how they should act, or what are some things that I don't like, because somebody else might like it. It's all perspective in my opinion. So what I don't like, somebody else could like. So who am I to tell them like, oh, you shouldn't do this like that?
But so you guys don't get any like general, like I'm thinking of I forget the movie. I feel like the main character's name was Kalojiro, and that it was like, oh, if the girl reaches over and unlocks your door after you
Okay.
let them
I
in.
think it's a Bronx Tale.
Yes. Is there no do you guys not have any of those anymore? Of like in general, like, oh, if she does this, it's a good sign, or if she doesn't do this, she's a.
I mean, not a red flag, but it's a good sign. Like if she goes out of her way to like want to pay for the bill, that is a good sign. If she doesn't want to pay for the bill, it's not a red flag though, because we're used to paying, us at least, me and Erle, myself, we're used to paying the first couple of dates, right here representing for the good guys. But no, red flag, no. First dates, it's hard because you're just getting to know a person. We don't know if they usually act like that, or they're just putting up a front. Maybe they're nervous, maybe they do want to try to impress you. Sometimes they try too hard. Things like that. It's just a little annoying, but just something to be aware of.
So women, we're taught a lot, like especially like older women, when you're like looking for like your husband or whatever, to make a list, and of what qualities you want, personality wise, like your values, even physical traits. Do men have something like that? Or because I get the impression, now I don't know, I get the impression that y'all just go on with the flow and like or don't like, but you don't really have like a mission. You're not like looking for a specific prototype. Is that true or not?
We do have like a list. It's more like a mental list. Like, obviously we want somebody who is like loyal, right? Someone we're attracted to, someone who is just a generally a good person. So someone who cares, who shows that they care about you, whether mentally or physically or spiritually, whatever it is. But in the sense of like a list, I don't really have one. It's just either you're a good person and I'm attracted to you, and then we'll see how it goes as time goes on. Because in the beginning, it's always going to be fun and games, and then once a few challenges get there, like okay, we'll see how we can take care of this as a team.
Yeah, I mean, you can't look at a list and check off every box on the first date. I mean, at that point, your list is too vague and shallow. Then there's always the initial attraction. But I think as men, we kind of just go with the flow. And as time goes on, if the vibe gets better and you keep checking off those boxes and stacking good dates, at some point we're just like, all right, yeah, I want to date this girl. I want to be with her. And from then on, it'll still progress. And it can get better. It can get worse. And it's just always a general, sliding scale of where are we at. But a list of things to look for, I'll never be able to find my list on that first date. But I can see if you're a person I should give the opportunity and time to figure out that list with.
Well,
And
I
and
mean,
and adding on to that, I don't think you're ever gonna find someone who's gonna check off everything in your list as
right,
well. You know.
right. And I always say like for women, I keep trying to tell my homegirls that I see it like you're looking for a house when you're gonna buy a house, right? That you're like you have an idea what you want. Like I like this neighborhood, I need this many bedrooms, I need I want a big backyard for whatever. And then you go and you look at houses and you're like, oh, you know what? This actually doesn't have that big of a backyard, but it has like a front porch. And like I really like this house. It's not exactly what I thought it was, but like it can fit what I'm looking for. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is like I feel like as women, we will literally sit with our homegirls and be like, "Oh, but he doesn't have a degree," or and like as we're dating these people, kind of be like ruling out like, did they check this box or that box? Um, is that the same on you guys' end, or is it just like, yeah, I'm having a good time and I like this person?
I think it's something we get a mental note from. It depends how you like. I guess how you grow up. Mainly, is your mom like, yo, I want you to have a girl who has a degree, a good job, right? Who's gonna help you, who's gonna help you grow, things like that. But as far as us thinking about, like, okay, I want a girl that's this, that's that, that's that. We don't really sit down and do that. But we do have a mental note of what we want, and obviously we want those things in a girl as well. But if she doesn't have, let's say, a degree and she's still a great person who hustles, like, who am I to be like, nah, you're not in that checklist. I don't want you. You know.
I would never use that checklist to cancel somebody, but it would add to the general attraction. Like I remember I used to have a list of like 5'9" and up. I'll make an exception to 5'7" if you're exceptionally cute because like I'm a tall guy. Short girls are a lot of work, and I was just like, I don't want to deal with that. So like I always found short girls unattractive, and I felt I was upset because like damn, like I know this girl, she's cute, but she's short, and I was like, I don't want to deal with that. And that's no knock to her, but I was like, do you need a degree? Do you need to have a job? Do you need to have a car? Do you need to have your own house? And it's like, if she's a good person, she'll build to all that. But if anything on your list is like a physical thing, I think as men, we're wired where we're looking for it. And if we don't see it, we just won't be attracted. So if I'm already talking to you, I already have some form of physical attraction. Now let's see, from that baseline, how much further we go.
Mhm.
Like
That's
men are hardwired to talk to women that they're attracted to. Like no guy's going to go up to a girl and talk to her if he doesn't find her cute in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm. That's really funny to me because I feel like all my short friends date all the tallest men.
Oh no.
And then I'm like taller than all these bitches and I'm dating all the short men. So what's happening? I think everybody should get the correct proportions. Like,
Listen, back in the day, I taught biology and selective breeding. I don't want to pay for college, so I want my kid to play sports or be a nerd. I figured I can't coach height, so if I can keep my kid as tall as possible, I got some skin in the game there. But yeah, you got to tell your friends to fix that. Tall guys are the
maybe
best.
that's why they're doing it. They're trying to get the basketball kids
Yeah.
too. Okay, but so let's move on to the next one. We got a shit ton of, I don't know what was going on with the ladies in the community. Y'all all going through the same struggles, but we got a shit ton of questions about along the lines of like, why do guys lead us on? Why do they act like they want a relationship and then they don't? What's y'all's take on this? On a very like, we'll get more into, but like on a top level, what is your response to that question? I know it's very vague, but
Okay. I'm gonna stir the pot here. Men don't lead women on. Men do what women allow. I will be interested as long as I'm interested, and when I'm not, you'll know. And if that upsets you, I'm sorry, but at the end of the day, wouldn't you rather me pull back if I'm no longer interested? Because then I'd be lying to you. So if you allow the guy to ghost you and not talk to you and he's not interested, then just move on, because fighting for a guy that's not trying to keep talking to you and he doesn't show interest is a waste of time. And it's not leading you on, but you want to call us fickle creatures, but until we get that deep connection, we're just like, yeah, I don't want to be here. And that doesn't make us jerks and all that. It's just, I'm not feeling it. And if I'm not feeling it, I'm not going to stay.
Yeah, I agree with Earl. I don't think we lead you guys on. I think we like if you guys allow us, most guys or a lot of people, not even guys, could take advantage of the situation. Doesn't even have to be dating, right? So for example, if a guy tells you he's really into you, he's doing this, he's doing that, but he never hangs out with you, he never puts effort in, is he leading you on, or you're allowing him to come back into your life? Or like whenever he comes back, like hits you up at 2 in the morning, you answer, is he leading you on, or you're allowing him to put you in those sort of situations, right? So you just gotta pay attention to what actions speak louder than words, I guess, in a sense. So if he's not doing something, then don't believe his words, because he might not be leading you on, or maybe you think he is, but his actions aren't. You're just allowing him to do that to you, in our opinion.
To add on to that, women, set boundaries, please. We are dumb. We're going to find boundaries as men. We're either going to push through them because we want to get to the other side of it, or we're going to say, you know what, screw it, that's too much work, and go somewhere else. Like, set boundaries to protect yourself.
It's true.
And the man that tries to break those boundaries and keep breaking those boundaries and puts that effort in, he's going to one that's going to be there through the good times and the bad. So set the boundaries and protect yourself. But, you know, to feed off his point, if you allow the jerk that hits you up just for it to be a booty call to keep doing that, don't be mad at him when that's how he treats you. You know, you have to limit his access to you so that he can treat you right. If you allow him to treat you poorly, he's going to do it. He's not a good guy.
Don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say yes if that's what you really want, right? If the guy leaves you for that or just ignores you, then why would you even cry for a guy who doesn't want you like that? You know, why would you? I mean, sometimes there's certain situations where like, okay, you're really in love, you really like this person, and some people, there are fucked up people out there, right? Some people are gonna lie straight to your face and stuff. You might be heartbroken, whatever. You might have been in love, but point is, set boundaries, right? If a person's not for you, or breaks your boundary, you know, whatever it is, then it's not meant for you. Why would you want to be with somebody who doesn't treat you how you want to be treated?
Right. Now, I want to jump off of something that you said about like actions speak louder than words. Now, one thing that I've noticed about my ladies is that they will say, I'm not looking for a relationship. But then we read the actions as like, nah, but he's doing this, that, or the other, so it must mean more. And I'm not trying to shame anyone because I done that shit too. How do you respond to that where like we feel like we're being let on because we feel like you're giving us like serious vibes, even though you said you didn't want that? And so we're like, I think we kind of illusion ourselves to like, oh, okay, no, now that means he's changed his mind. I've convinced him otherwise. Stop laughing at me, Erle.
You can take it because I'm laughing at it because, you know, give me the context. Like women, I'm letting you know right now, you don't change men. Okay, we're going to be who we are. We decide whether we want to adapt to the boundaries and our settings to stay in a situation. Like, yeah, I can give you serious vibes, and that's just me. I'm a nice guy. Like, I'm going to treat you right. But if at some point I'm no longer interested, I'm going to pull back. And like, it's not because I don't want to be in a relationship. It's just like, I'm not feeling it anymore. And that has to be okay. And like, oh, that's toxic. Why are you leaning on being a nice guy just to pull out and be a jerk? It's like, well, no, I was raised to be a nice guy. I'm going to be that way. If you show me that you don't deserve that energy, I'm not going to give it to you. And it's not because I don't want a relationship. It's just I'm not seeing you as the one, you know, that I can pursue that relationship with and keep it going. And if I can't keep it going, I'm not wasting my time. Like, I don't think women should be heartbroken over that because men are, like, this sucks to say, I think men are stupid, personally. I think we see women that we're attracted to as like, all right, I want X, Y, and Z. This is what I do. This is how I go get it. And whether they do it or don't do it, you know, depends on the woman. You know, is it going to be worth the effort to do it? Is it not going to be worth the effort? If it's worth the effort, men are going to be happy. If it's not worth the effort and they don't want to do it, we won't. Like, we're not going to sit and be miserable. We will get out of a situation where we're not happy. And like, that has to be okay. You're not going to make a man fall in love with you who doesn't want to fall in love with you. You know, that's just my thoughts.
I think the worst thing of it all, for guys and girls, right, is that there's always hope, right? You hear stories or movies or whatever, like the girl changes the guy or the guy changes the girl. And I think that hope is what makes girls or man, whatever situation is, it makes the person allow them to do whatever they want, right? There's hope. No, he really likes me. No, he wants a relationship. No, he's different. He's going to change. He told me this. He told me that. And then sometimes it does happen. Sometimes there's happy endings, but most of the time, you know, it's not going to work out. Just look for those actions. Like I said, actions speak louder than words.
Right. And I think...
And don't be afraid to set boundaries as well.
Yeah. And I think what Erle said is one thing that I've realized, and I've been trying to tell y'all ladies, that some people, like, that's just the way they are with everyone. And it's not unique to you. And I think as women, we tend to be like, oh, no, this is, like, unique to me. Like, he's being this way because I'm special. And it's like, no, that's just how he is with everybody.
Yeah, sometimes
like,
the guy doesn't even say anything. Like, I've been in situations where I haven't said anything. The girl thinks that I'm doing something only for her or whatever it is, like you mentioned, right? It doesn't have to be necessarily that, but sometimes the girls put that image in their head and the guy literally hasn't said anything like that. Like, if they don't, even when they say it, like, actions speak louder than words, but if they're saying it and doing it, then it's different as well.
Right. And I think that's where communication comes into play because not to be a jerk here, I feel like some women have gone through such shitty relationships that when a guy is baseline level nice, they're like, oh my God, he treats me so nice. He's the one. It's like, no, this is just normal. It's how men should treat you. Because you never had that, you think this guy is some god. And like when it goes left, you're like, what happened? I had the best boy ever. And it's like, no, he was normal. So I think in realizing, ladies, how you deserve to be treated, if he treats you as such, and if his actions and words match up, then you're good to go.
And I think it's also kind of like timing as well. Like he's not gonna treat you like a queen on the first date. Like he barely knows you. Most guys don't, I think, in my opinion. And if they do, then they're probably looking for something as well, right? Like a stranger comes up to you and starts being nice, buy you a whole bunch of drinks, right? They say buying you jewelry and stuff. Like, what stranger is really gonna do that to you? It's very the chances are very slim. They usually want something after that, whether it's booty call, friends, whatever it is. So don't expect someone to treat you like a queen on the first date, right? It doesn't mean they're not nice. They just don't know you yet.
Right. And like be like skeptical. I always tell my friends like love bombers. Like if they're obsessed with you, they just met you. That's like a little weird. No?
Yeah, it shows a lot about them. Like, what do they know about? If they say I love you in the first day, it's like, what do you know about love? You don't even know me. How do you love me?
But now I'm gonna flip it here. Women, I'm giving you a free game. Don't appreciate the flashy gift. Like he said, don't fall for the flowers, the roses, the chip. No. Listen and look for the meaningful ones. If you have a conversation and you said something that's really important to you, and he remembers that and he brings it up later on, he acts on that because he was paying attention to that conversation and he listened to you. If he does it one time, wow, that's nice. If he does that consistently, that means that man is listening to when you're talking and he wants to do the things that you want, that you said you like, and like you keep that guy. Not many men sit, listen, and take notes in their brains of conversation and things to pick out. Like, it should never be Valentine's Day is coming up. What should I get her? If you listen to your woman, they tell you what they want. So don't fall for the flashy. Fall for the meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Unless you date me, I make Amazon wish lists, so you don't even have to listen. Just fucking click the link. But okay. So kind of going off of this, I want to know, what do you guys think of like the pacing of relationships? Because I think sometimes women and men are like on a different schedule. And I also think that in our day and age, there's so many question marks. People have like preferences of what you call something. Like to me, if we go on dates, we are dating. And some people are like, nah, you're not dating. You're talking, you're texting. I'm like, no, me and you go on dates. That's why I was going to skip. And I was like, no, we got to build up to it. But I was like, me and you go on dates, I'm not saying that we are dating exclusively, but we are dating. And so how do you guys feel about like, I know this is kind of a broad question, but like labels of just like the pacing of stuff. How do you handle that?
This is delicate right here.
I'm gonna pass it to Jamie because we actually had a similar conversation in the car after the last recording. So it's like, I know you got opinions on it. You're just trying to be nice.
I'm trying to do the PG version,
He's trying to do the politically correct.
Is this podcast
answer.
PG?
Oh no, you can curse it. Yeah, sorry. Okay. My friend, we don't talk about sex. We talk about everything.
Like,
you can say whatever you want.
I talk to you on the phone differently. We talk here, but you have an audience. I don't want to limit your audience by my language.
No. Okay. I was just telling everybody about like my first time with such and so we're not with such, but like we were talking about our first time. So you can say whatever you want here.
Gotcha.
But like, okay, what do you like? Is there a cutoff of like when you're first talking to somebody, this is considered talking, texting, dating?
I think dating would be considered technically. Well, dating is complicated because dating could be just one date, right? It doesn't mean you're dating, but it's a date. Or you could be dating, going on different dates, right? Me, I would say like messing would be, being with somebody where you guys not official, right? Dating, when you use the word dating in terms of seeing someone, it sounds more like a boyfriend, girlfriend, partner type of thing. So that's when guys are like, no, we don't date. We might go on dates, but we're not dating. So if you guys are messing, it's not official. It's hard to say that, you guys are dating when you guys haven't even talked about it. You guys haven't made it official. That's just my opinion.
Earl, what's your take on
that
this? Knowing that you're more open to relationships in general.
Yeah, this is therapized Earl. See, back in my day, I understand what he's saying. It's you play the game and you explore the boundaries, and until you sit down and say, "No, I'm officially your boyfriend or girlfriend," like whatever I do is fair game because we haven't had that conversation yet. I kind of go into it now with, if we go on dates and I like you, I'm gonna treat you like I want to be treated. And that's sucky sometimes if you don't have that conversation, because you could like this girl, be all in, and then find out she's going on a date with someone else, and like that shit hurts because you're like, damn, I wouldn't do that to her because I really like her. Well, then you ain't tell her that, and I think you need to have that conversation to figure it out. I kind of stay away from labels because I think when labels change things, it upsets me because nothing changed between our first date to our second date. We've been dating for 6 months now. I'm still gonna be the same person. So yeah, I get, boyfriend, girlfriend's cool, but until you get married, like we're partners, we date. But if labels besides marriage change how you treat the person, then you don't deserve the label. That's just my opinion.
Interesting. See, I do agree that it's like, it should just be, like, I don't think the label should have such an effect. It's more about like, where do we stand and like, what are we agreeing on? I just hate that, like, in this day and age, people are so afraid. I get the impression that people are afraid to call it anything because they don't want that commitment, or they're scared to say, oh, well, now there's like rules to it because I'm saying we're dating. Like the fact that you said, to me, dating, like me and you went on a date. It's not that we are only seeing, like, I feel like people are scared of, oh, there might be an added like commitment to it, or, added rules to it.
Well, what's dating for you then? Just
like, okay, if we have
question.
gone,
I need to,
because to me, I'm like, if I meet somebody on an app and we're just talking, like texting, phone, we're talking, because that's literally what we're doing. To me, I'm very little. We are talking, right? Until I meet you. Now we went on a date. If we're gonna go again, now we're dating. Like if we are people who now proceed to make more plans, now we are dating, because that's what we are, people that date. We are dating. But that don't mean that I'm not also dating 7 other people. Like that got nothing to do with you.
But I feel like dating can have more and more meaning. It could be you're seeing that you guys are in a relationship with this guy, right? Like, oh, I'm dating fulano de tal, right? Mm-hmm. Like it could also mean that. So I think that's when there's like a double sense to the words. Okay, you're dating them or are you dating? It's the same word.
Are you dating them or are you dating?
And then we get the invention word exclusively dating. Like that's really what it's asking.
There's gonna be a whole bunch of different pronouns and nouns.
Yeah, there's so many. I just hate that there's so many varieties. Like, why can't we just call it whatever it is?
I think this also comes down to pacing as well. Like, are you gonna ask me? If you're gonna ask me, are we dating on the second day? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we going dates? Yeah, we're going dates. But are we dating? I don't know. Like, we're talking.
I have a weird rule. If you have to ask, then you're not. Like I've never asked a girl, "Hey, are we dating now?" Like, no, I've never done it. Like, I'm trying, even in terms of asking girls out, like, "Hey, I want to go on a date with you." It's like, no, I want to take you out, and then I'm gonna keep taking you out, and you're gonna understand by my actions. Yeah, we're dating, and you're not dating on anyone else. But don't ask me if we're dating. That's probably one of the biggest turn-offs for me. Because like, if you have to ask me, that means you're not feeling my actions and intentions, which means I'm wasting my time here, which means I gotta get out. Mm-hmm. So don't ask us if we're dating.
It could potentially be a red flag too, depending what dating. Like the first day or two, I'm like, whoa, like I don't know you. Yeah. So it's definitely a red flag that you can look out for as well.
Yeah, I think.
Imagine the guy's like, "Are we dating?" In the second day, it's like, whoa, like
right then with the creepy guy in the group chat getting slammed.
The guy who's obsessed and everything, it's like, whoa, no.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of along the same lines, but so. Then having that conversation about being exclusive or not exclusive, is that a conversation that you have? Is that a conversation you need to have? It sounds like, from what I'm understanding, Earl, you don't think you need to have that conversation. It should just kind of
what's natural. Understood doesn't have to be said. If you want to hear it for validation, sure. But I'm pretty clear with my intent. I treat my partner how I want to be treated. If you do the same, I think we'll both understand where we're at. There's a way to ask it without saying, "Hey, are we dating now?" So I think you kind of got to feel it. But again, golden rule: treat your partner the way you want to be treated. If she's treating you and makes you feel good, and you do the same for her, then we're there and you understand it. But if not, then you should probably do something.
I think it's on an individual basis. Every situation is different, right? Not every guy is gonna be great like us, obviously, you know. No, but
This
there,
took work to be great, so I
it took
understand.
work and experience. But there's some guys out there and girls who are just straight up like liars, and they don't care about other people's feelings and stuff. Like some guys out there who just want to get in there and they don't care what it takes. They'll lie to you. Yeah, I love you. I'll give you everything. You know, sending a whole bunch of shit to you, right? So it's different for everybody. You gotta really look at your situation. Don't think too hard now and just like confuse yourself as well. Like sometimes it can be really stressful. You're like, I don't even know what the fuck to do. Like, and then it's good to ask other people as well. Ask your close friends, but it's all based on the person's individual situation. And I think at one point it does come down to like you have to ask. Like it's part of setting boundaries. Like, I'm tired of not feeling. I'm tired of feeling like unsure, uncertain. Like, do you like me? Do you not like me? Or is he saying someone else or not? So I think for some girls or guys, it's gonna come to a point where like, you know what, I need to know. And it's like he said, like, if they're not showing you, then they're probably not. And at that point, if you really want to know for yourself, for your sanity, you should be asking the question for sure. Just when. Again, you don't want to ask that on the second date. No good.
Right. Now, I guess to get back maybe to the previous point, you said pacing. I think pacing is different partner by
I
partner.
think it's a big key
Like,
as well, and it is definitely different. Yep.
I've been in relationships where like girls be like, oh, I love you. And I'm like, tell me not to do that. like I'm just not there. I'm not open. I'm not ready for it. And on the flip side, 6 months later, I find a new person. I'm just like, wow. And like I'm all in, And I think as men, we if we hold back, it's because whether we know it or not, there's something telling us we shouldn't commit.
Mhm.
And when we do commit, it's because we can't help ourselves. Like people are like men are scared of commitment. I was like, no, we just don't want to commit to the wrong shit. Like we've been hard. We've done hard things before. We don't want to keep doing hard things. Like I want life to get easier now. Life was rough. Let's make it easy now. So I can easily say I fell in love with a girl within 6 months. No shame in my game. And I can also date a girl for a year and a half. Like, yeah, no, I don't love her. And so I think pacing is all partner based. Where you're at, where they're at, if it works.
Yeah, I think pacing is definitely different for guys and girls, and I think girls usually pace a little faster than guys, or guys pace a little slower than girls. Right? For us, it takes a little longer to commit more because we're not sure whether we wanted to commit that person or not. In the sense of like, are we good for each other? Is she gonna help me out? How is she gonna be later on? Once we get comfortable with each other, is she gonna change a little bit or not? So those are things you find out with time, and that's why for us our pace is like, okay, we're just starting. While the ones are okay, like, what are we? So pacing is definitely different for sure.
Yeah. And you led to a question that I had also about that some of the questions that were submitted is like, oh, why do you say that you don't want a relationship with me, and then they go and they find someone else like immediately after?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think you kind of touched on it. But
I mean, for me, that was real life. Like I was with a girl and she's like, I love you. And I was like, cool, I don't love you. And she's like, I'm going to try to make it work. And I was like, all right, cool. And she would keep trying to, and I was like, no, I don't love you. And then, I moved on and I was in a new relationship. And 6 months later, I was like, this is the best thing ever. Wow. I love this girl. And the other girl couldn't get it. She was like, what the hell is going on? You couldn't do that with me. You didn't do that with me. And I was just like, I couldn't do it with you. I didn't want to do it with you. You two are different people. I think, if a man's not saying he loves you and a man's not committing to you, whether he knows it consciously or subconsciously, there's something that's keeping him back. He can meet someone new that unlocks that whole different side of him that he clicks with differently. And he's like, oh no, I can do that. And if that happens, you can't fault a man. It just wasn't right with you. And that has to be okay. Like, no, every man's not gonna be perfect. And how you treat him, how he treats you will depend on how he feels. And if he's not in love with you, that's okay. Just own it and move accordingly. You're not the one. It has to be okay. Has to.
I think every relationship is a learning experience as well. So if it doesn't work out, right, for whatever reasons, just take that and then move on with it, learn from it, and then learn from the mistakes from either person and try to make their next relationship or the next date work a little better through that experience for yourself.
Yeah, I think sometimes women, I think it's hard for us to turn around and say like, oh, okay, it just wasn't me. Like that's hard to
It is
say. Like
hard.
it,
It is
especially when
hard.
you like really like the person. Like, oh, it just wasn't me. That was the
Right.
thing. But so kind of in line with pacing and stuff. Ghosting. It's a pandemic, and what now? I have my opinions on when you need to have a proper conversation and when you can just fade out. But for you guys, do you feel like there is reason, like it's reasonable to just kind of disappear on somebody? When is it reasonable versus do you think there's a point where you have to have a proper conversation to break up with somebody?
Well, I think breaking up and ghosting are two different things, right?
Mhm.
Breaking up was something serious and it's something that you definitely have to talk about. You can't just ghost a breakup in a way. That's really fucked up in my opinion. But ghosting, it all depends. If you guys just went on two or three dates, you know, like you don't even know this guy, it's just somebody you were talking to and then he didn't like you, he didn't like you. Like, why are you gonna let someone, a stranger, affect you in that way? So for me, ghosting depends on the situation. If you guys been talking for a while, like me, if I talk to a girl for a while, like if we were never serious and it's not a breakup, then we were just friends, like friends drifting apart in a sense. So to you, some people might seem ghosting. For me, it just seems like we drifted apart. So I don't really take ghosting personally. If a girl ghosted me, it's like okay, I guess she wasn't feeling me. Let's see who else I can meet, someone I can connect with.
And I think this goes along with the labels. You can't ghost a relationship. Like you have to have that conversation or an action to end the relationship. If in the age of like dating apps, we go on a couple dates, all right, cool, and I stop talking to you, I'm no longer interested. You see, I'm not interested. We weren't really dating. We went on dates, but like I wasn't exclusively dating you. I wasn't committed to you, so I don't owe you that. If you're in a relationship with somebody and you end that relationship, like do it and be an adult about it. Don't be immature and just stop talking to them because feelings were involved. You were in a committed relationship, but you can't ghost on a relationship. But it's like Tinder dates. It was trash. I'm not talking to you.
Even
By me
if
not talking to you, you should know we're done.
even if you had a couple hookups with that person, right? Like if you guys were never serious, I don't think anyone has to own up to it. The actions speak louder than the words. If they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to see you. Okay, fine. I guess he's not interested to me, but I don't think they really owe you anything, unless I guess the guy or the girl, was an ass or a dick and did a bunch of stuff like behind your back. Then that's a little different. I guess that's you're looking for an apology more than just being ghosted, and at that point.
Right. The way I take it, and I'm just saying it so you guys can comment back. So I've been in a situation where I was dating a guy for like 2 months, but it was it seemed to be like progressing and there was like a pattern of like seeing each other, like we were like right away make plans for the next one and make plans for the next date and like be texting consistently. And I got ghosted at the end of that, right? And I would say it's a short period of time. We had maybe hung out like 7 or 8 times. I don't think that he was right in ghosting me then because to me there was a pattern already. So if something switched for you at the end, like something changed for him at a certain point, I feel like he should have said something instead of just like leaving me high and dry when I thought we were like on a consistent pattern already, right? Now I'm not saying like he could have been dating other people. That's his prerogative. I don't give a fuck. But I think if we already had some kind of relationship built up and something changed, I feel like you should say it. Versus I was dating this other guy for like 4 or 5 months. No consistency whatsoever. Text here and there, whatever, to check in. Sometimes go out, but it wasn't like a routine in any way yet. So when he, quote, ghosted me, I was okay with it because I'm like, we didn't have anything really serious. I wasn't under the impression that it was really even advancing. It was just like, we're just like hanging out every so often.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care that he ghosted me because I was like, we didn't like it was, I mean, you just weren't interested anymore, but like we weren't really anything, nothing was like picking up. So I just want to see what's your take on that.
So I don't think you're upset that he ghosted you. I think you're upset he broke trend. As women, you guys are quick to identify patterns.
Mhm.
You hung out with that guy pretty much every weekend for 2 months. You would talk all the time. When all of a sudden that trend breaks, you're like, yo, what the fuck? Why is the trend breaking?
Mhm.
Whereas the guy who was always sporadic, he was just still being sporadic. And it's like, well, that's just who he is. So I think the disappointment came more from he's breaking trend. Why is the trend breaking? Now I need to figure out why the trend's breaking. Instead of saying, hey, that was a 2-month, dating. It's not working. He's moving on. Cool. Because he set a trend, you got used to that trend, and then he broke trend. You were just like, whoa. And you're wired to figure out why. He doesn't really owe you that why. Now, therapist Erle says he should tell you why. Back in the day, after 2 months, goodbye. Like, if I'm not in it, I'm not in it. Like, I don't owe you anything. We're adults. But I think it's more so because he broke trend, your brain noticed it more and you felt it more versus the guy who his trend was to be sporadic. He just kept being sporadic. So nothing changed from that perspective.
Right.
I have to agree with Earl, but I want to ask you two things. Was he always want to ask you out on a date? Did you ask him out on a date or like to go out after the last date? And how did the last date end?
It was like mutual back and forth. He did lead more of it because he wasn't really ready to be in a relationship, and he kind of told me that up front. And so he was like, I would like want to take it slow. So I was kind of like, whatever you're comfortable with, which is stupid. Don't fucking do that.
It's just funny. It's like, I want to take it slow. Let's go on dates every weekend. Like, it's just not adding up.
And that's kind of a red flag there itself as well. Like actions speak louder than words. You want to take it slow, but we're going on a bunch of dates. Like, which one is it?
And I realized afterward that it was very much, he was like what Earl said, like he was a serial like monogamist. So that's just how he knows how to act. Like if he's interested, he acts like a little bit intense. It wasn't unique to me. It didn't really signify anything. But you said if I was asking, so I noticed the break in trend because we would be texting in between the dates and stuff. And so we were texting. I found an idea of like, hey, we should go to this thing. And it was just like, oh no, I don't want to go to that. And then like I saw that the conversations would start to fall off. And I'm like, like I feel like to me it was clear like there's a switch up. And then he would just like leave me on red. Now he did eventually like ghost and kind of reappeared just because we had mutual friends and we were going to run into each other. Like, so I think he was trying to like save himself from a problem later. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I did end up having like a closure conversation with him, like way later, where he was basically like, yeah, like I'm just a serial monogamist and I didn't know how to not be intense. So.
And so.
I think in a way he told you he wasn't interested, right? His actions was just like, yo, like it's dying down. I'm not really asking you on a date some more. We're not even conversating like that. So I think that itself was him saying like, I don't want to date no more.
And why didn't you address it when you noticed it started to switch?
Oh, I did several times, but then I'm stupid because like I feel like it should have just been one addressed, and then if it didn't switch up, like just cut it.
Right.
Yeah.
What did he say? He kind of explained, or he was just like left you on red?
I just been busy. Then this another time when I was like, yo, you just be leaving me on red. Like, what's good? And he's like, sometimes I don't know what to say. I'm like, it's been 2 months. Now you don't know how to make conversations.
That right there, you just gotta be like, that's it. On to the next one.
No, don't get me wrong. I know I was wild pendeja.
Just like you didn't have time, but we go on dates every weekend. But we used to talk. You're not doing a different job. Like what changed? And it's like, okay, say you're busy. You're going to get to your phone at some point. Like no one's that busy, And I suffer from it now in a relationship. Like I go to work, I might not look at my phone for 6 hours, and it's like, yo, what the fuck? Like I texted you, I was like, my fault. Like I was teaching. Like it is what it is. But if you're as a guy, you talk to girls who you want to talk to. There's no, I don't know what to say. Because literally, if I don't know what to say, I'll text you, hey, I don't know what to say, but like I'm thinking about you. And I'll just start the conversation like that. Because sometimes we don't have pretty words. And like if he thinks he needs to have these elaborate thought out processes to talk to you, he might, think before he speaks, which we should do. But you can't set up dates with me every weekend and then all of a sudden be too busy for me and not know what to say. Just say you don't want to go on a date. But that's tough for men to do sometimes. Like men, as much as we're labeled assholes, don't want to be known as assholes. Like no one wants to be like, yeah, he's the fucking dickhead who drops all the girls and he's a jerk. Like there's the scummy dudes who just own it and that's who they are and they're proud of it. But like most dudes don't want to live life being labeled an asshole. So they'll rather punk out and do something immature and make you leave than them just be like, yeah, you suck, goodbye.
And I think also like to the ladies, like I think one of the issues with ghosting is that we, like you say, we don't take the hint of like, I had the conversation and nothing changed. And I should have been like, to me, that's done. That's over. As opposed to like, Why are you
Again, is
explain
that
yourself?
that sense of hope is there again? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe he is busy. All those like last 6 days that we're supposed to go on.
Yeah. But we are actually out of time. And I just want to thank Jamie and Earl for tackling some of these issues. Ladies, please heed them, okay?
It was fun. Take
I
notes,
bring
ladies.
them for a
Please.
reason.
Free game.
So it seems like we all struggling. You heard it from the men themselves. But if you guys like the conversation that we had, you like these guys' vibe, obviously I did. That's why I brought them to you. You can follow them on social media. So Jamie is at JStellarFitness. Earl is at Colossus78. It'll be tagged in all the stuff later. Wherever you're listening to this, you can just check into the bio and stuff. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out the previous guys talk with Jamie and Sachin, who you might recognize from another video. And then hopefully we'll see you back next week for another episode of the 30-Year-Old Virgin podcast.
Subscribe, notifications. You already know.
Follow.
Thanks. I should add that.